It is my honor to launch this community library organized by the Youth SG Coalition in Uganda. Thank you. Make it like difficult to know. Oh, nice. Oh my God, my name! I didn't see it. Oh my God, you people, it's so embarrassing. Thank you. Oh my God, now I have to come back to check on this. Yes. Oh, this is amazing. Space for the photography and the video. This board is not gender friendly.
My name is James Brown Intwatwa, and I'm the President and Director of Incredible Youth International. And we're here today to commission the IYI, which represents Incredible Youth International Community Library. We are so privileged that today was the International Day of Education. So this gives us an opportunity to connect with the rest of the world as we are valuing and honoring the impact of education in our society. So we thought that the more practical way of doing this, the most practical way, is to be able to contribute to what the government is already doing, or in a way of supplementing to their efforts by providing a community library. It's a very small space, but it's better to start. So the idea of this is basically to help bring young people together. They will not, of course, be stationed in the library, but they will be getting a book and going outside. Special thanks to the United Nations for actually enable us to help us to come and help us as we commemorate this day. And at the same time, we're so grateful for MK Publishers, who has actually contributed books worth 10 million Ugandan shillings for the community of Kabembe. We think that this is a strategy or an initial way of starting to implement the bigger plan of making sure we create a culture of reading and writing. One of the reasons why Africa is a dark continent is because most of us are ignorant about the things that take us forward. We've had the director of industrial program talking about the idea of creating more factories and industries, whether someone went to school or not, but the ability of us to be creative, to use our communication skills, to be critical thinkers and work with collaboration would go a long way in helping us enhance the education sector in the country.
Why now?
Why now is because we've been doing this for a long time, but because of the fact that today is the International Day of Education that is celebrated globally, we thought it would be a nice way to establish something that the community can work with, and at the same time inspire other communities out there and other key individuals from the government, from the private sector, to contribute towards the growth of the nation.
Who accesses this library? At what cost?
The library is totally free and everyone can actually come and access it, but most especially for the people and the in the community of Kabembe. But the key idea that we are talking about today is we are here as we commemorate the International Day of Education to bring something practical and to also to appeal to everyone from the private sector, from the government, from the schools, from each and everyone, to create something that would add value. Education should not necessarily stop in classroom only, but should also be able to go a long way. Today we have learned that some of the historical heroes of education are the maids that stay at home. If we can be able to encourage them to teach our children the right forms of education, like how to cook, like how to do all these different things, then education could be taken at a different spectrum.
Remarks. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was saying I'm going to read my remarks as in my capacity as the UN Resident Coordinator and Designated Official for the UN system in the Republic of Uganda. I would like to convey my appreciation to the Youth Coalition for SDGs for organizing and inviting me to join you for the commemoration of the International Day of Education, and also to launch the community library here at the Incredible Youth International Center, Kabembe Town, Mukono. This year's theme, Recover and Revitalize Education for the COVID-19 Generation, is both timely and relevant. As we commemorate International Education Day, we recognize that COVID-19 has created a child's rights crisis. According to UNESCO, the pandemic has created the largest disruption of education systems, affecting nearly 1.6 billion learners in more than 190 countries across the world. Since the closures of schools in Uganda, this has affected more than 20 million learners in pre-primary, primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions who have been out of school. I think now it's 11 months. This affects not just their quality of life, but also their future. We acknowledge that COVID-19 has intensified disparities by reducing opportunities for the most vulnerable, including learners with disabilities, girls, learners in rural or urban poor communities, refugees, and displaced persons. Like in other sectors, COVID-19 has also stimulated innovation thanks to the coordinated efforts of the government, development partners, teachers, parents, and learners. It has demonstrated the shared commitment to sustain safe spaces for children and youth, where they can learn skills, values, and substance at community levels, which I have witnessed during my field visits. I would like to take a moment to appreciate and convey my appreciation to the Development Partners Education Working Group, which has worked very closely with the Minister of Education and the teachers to find solutions during this critical time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reimagine education and empower a new generation. I believe that the pace of change is accelerating, with innovations introduced at an unprecedented rate and scale. Uganda, which is the world's second youngest nation, the silver medal, must maintain an enabling environment for this much needed generation of digital entrepreneurs, leaders, innovators, and creators. If Uganda is to achieve its national vision and the SDGs, it must find ways to invest at the same time in green industrialization and a knowledge economy. The great strides we have witnessed in health, agribusiness, and production require a large community of researchers, scientists, entrepreneurs, teachers, etc., who can exchange knowledge, create jobs, share solutions, and empower the next generation. This means now is the time to bring together communities of cultural and religious leaders, gender and human rights activists, philanthropists and social investors, local and international executives, donors at various levels, as well as the political and security leaders, to have a dialogue on how are we going to overcome the current challenges and transform the current situation. Only then can we work together to mobilize the financial and expert resources required for a balanced investment in education, health and well-being, transformational governance, shared prosperity, as well as peace and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, in Uganda, we must seize this moment to rapidly modernize the education system. We must leverage the digital learning to unlock transformational change at the national scale, reaching every child and young person with quality learning by connecting them to the internet. We must enable every household to improve its quality of life by linking their produce to markets and empowering communities to share positive values about tolerance, conflict prevention, productivity, and good citizenship. This will require significant commitment from decision makers in the public and private sectors if we are to support innovation and protect access to the internet in this digital age. But it will also require hard work. We must update regulations and we must debate on guidelines regarding managing access, learning, and skilling by this new generation of parliamentarians.